All right, welcome to the Calling All Heroes Comics podcast. And then there were three this week. I'm George. I'm joined with Gary.
Hello.
And Wolz.
Good morning.
We have a pretty stacked show, I think. Quite a bit to cover here.
We're stacked.
Like our Pringles.
Yeah.
Stacked like our Pringles.
By our unofficial sponsors.
Yep.
Pringles.
And the cats. I love
And
it.
the cats are always
What's up?
present, for better or worse.
affection.
But no, this week we have quite a few things. One of which we're going to touch base on is the Queen City Film Festival that's coming up October 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, right in Cumberland, Maryland, right across the bridge from where we're at. There's a specific documentary that's going to be. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Also figured we'd touch a little bit on the Baltimore Comicon coming up.
Absolutely.
Are we all in agreement? That's probably our favorite Comic-Con.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas for me.
Yeah, and there's also
forward
some questions we want to get to. Gary, I know you want to just touch base and weigh in on some of the questions from last week that you didn't get a chance to get.
Yeah. The if I was in charge, I think they were talking about some of the characters, the Squirrel Girl and She-Hulk, and I would say
Lady Thor.
Yeah, Lady Thor. I would, and you guys, I would say you came up with something where I would take all the books and just eliminate every title and take it back to, as you said, maybe 12 core books, and just go from there. Bring it all back the way it's supposed to. I don't know if you call it zero. I don't know what you call it ground zero. I don't know what you would call it, but you would take it all back. And I would do the same thing with DC. I know there's always going to be Detective and Batman, but there would only be one Spider-Man title, one Hulk title. That's it. And then any of these characters that we joke about, and of course we're only lightly joking about, She-Hulk and Squirrel Girl, but they would have a miniseries from a 4 to 6 issue miniseries to see how they went.
Yeah.
And if it went from there and it was successful, then you could launch into a full scale. You don't have to keep it at 12 books, but you would just take it back to the basics.
Sure.
Do one FF, one Spider-Man book, one Hulk book, one Iron Man book. Captain America is Steve Rogers. Everyone is who they are supposed to be.
Right.
And if you ever want to bring in other characters, if you ever want to bring in a Lady Thor, you don't call her Lady Thor, but you could have her from another mythology that's just made up.
Yeah, sure.
Kirby and Stanley based
Absolutely.
upon Norse mythology.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm sure they took liberties with everything.
I had somebody come in this week and we were talking about it, and it was like He-Man. They wanted to do something for girls. It doesn't mean that they got rid of He-Man and made it She-Man.
Right.
They did She-Ra and said it was his twin sister. They were separated at birth on a different planet. To me, that's acceptable. That's building
That's
on that.
that's your point. New story, new character, new story. It may have some relationship to the older stuff, but it's a different character. It's not a replacement. It's a new.
Right, you're going to introduce, but you got to go back to the core, and it's not to satisfy people like us that have been around for a while. It's to take the characters back to where they're supposed to be.
Right.
Because they've made such a big mess, and you have a Scorpion shirt on there, and one of our favorite metal bands that's been around for 40 some years.
50.
Yeah, but my point being is the Scorpions don't make music that is written for guys or girls. It may appeal. I was reading about Lilith Fair. Remember? Sarah McLachlan put that together.
Yeah.
All female acts.
Yeah, it's all female acts. Now, I'm not saying that there's going to be more females there than guys. Probably so.
Right.
In support. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that anybody from the Indigo Girls to Melissa Etheridge, I don't think any of them make music for women.
Oh, I totally agree. 100%.
The Beatles can appeal to everybody.
Right.
They're not written for guys or girls.
Songs are written about men and women. I mean, it depends. It's a song. It's an idea.
Well,
it's not designed to target a specific.
Well, and there's a difference between who it might appeal to and who it was actually made for. And I agree. Like this store's. I do it for everyone. The target demographic are guys 10 years younger than us to 10 years older than us.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that that's all it's for.
Exactly.
Right. And I mentioned Heart when they're always asked what it's like to be women in rock and roll. It's like, what are you talking about? When they wrote Barracuda, we all like it as guys. I'm not speaking for you guys, but it's not written for women. It's just a song.
Yeah.
Right.
Written by women.
Yeah.
And that's the same with comic books. comic books or X-Men is not written, or any of these books that we're talking about, you read Paper Girls.
Yeah.
That might appeal to women more than guys, because, like I said, the sensibilities I can't speak of. I'm not a woman,
Right.
All of us being married, we understand that women are a little different. But I don't think that comic books are ever.
I'm not going to touch them.
Yeah.
They
might think. I'm going to throw it out there. They might think differently than guys do.
Sure.
But I don't think that a comic book or an album or whatever is. I don't think it's ever going to be written exclusively for either sex.
Hey,
even from a business standpoint and marketing, doesn't make any sense.
I love my wife's perspective on things. She enjoys a lot of the same music I enjoy. She's not big into comic books, but she takes an interest.
Right.
She really enjoyed watching the new Defenders series with me. You know, but
But you can't stereotype a woman, sit there and say, "Hey, I got a book that I think you'll read because you're a woman." You're sitting there going, well, "That's not very nice to say."
Right.
It's like, well, why wouldn't a guy enjoy it if it's well written?
I would think her perspective has been, at least from our conversations, she enjoys things because of the story, and she's not really particularly worried about who it's written for. If it's written for, I mean that's she enjoys a story just like I do. There's really no difference.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Right? Okay, here's Spider-Man. Here's the Amazing Spider-Man for guys, and here's the Spectacular for females. I'm not even sure how you would start to do that.
But it's funny, it seems like that's what they've tried to somewhat create with some of these characters. Like to create a divide rather than, sort of bring it together. It does seem like, when I saw all this happening, I collect some new things, but not very many. And I apologize to everybody that listens. I'm not really up on a lot of new stuff. I know enough certainly to get by and to make comments on it, but I'm not an expert. But I started noticing the Gwenpools and whatever, Spider-Gwens and things
it was probably about a year ago that the Marvel was just covered with female characters. But it was like very intentional to make every character of every major character a female. And I never understood why they were doing that.
And were they thinking, okay, the movies are very successful? I would say that I'd say there's a lot of females that women that like the movies, and should we maybe do a line to cater? I don't know if that was their thinking.
I think there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of of minorities being introduced, and I think that probably comes from a couple of things. One, I think there's probably more minorities and more females getting jobs in comics and are drawing and writing, to what they see. The same way Jack Kirby and Stan Lee drew and wrote about what they see. Again, very generally speaking.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Just somebody I'm looking very much forward to seeing, Ron Wilson.
Oh,
who has been in the business forever.
Oh, yeah.
And is just a wonderful human being who happens to be part of the minority,
But I think the other thing is that now with comics, they're in this world market. And so I think that when you're talking about not just in the United States or just in Europe, you're talking about everywhere. It's global. And I think that whereas it's a minority in this country, you're not a minority everywhere.
Right.
And as a global market, you're going to see a lot more of that. So there's going to be more.
Yeah,
I wonder if the Hulk is appealing to the Asian demographics.
Yeah.
Because it's Amadeus Cho, who is obviously Asian descent.
Yes.
I don't know if I've never heard, but I would think they're not writing a Hulk book just to appeal to the
right. No, I agree.
I don't know why, because I don't know what kind of stereotypes you would put in there that would, like I said, to me this is all condescending sometimes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I hope I'm never offending anybody by speaking this way or speaking this strongly about it. But I'm telling you, I think it's actually condescending when you're trying to write to a particular just to get them to buy the book.
I think the word is pandering as well. And I agree with you 100%. I think maybe I find a little bit of offense to it because I don't look at it that way. A character is a character. Whatever nationality, race, what have you, fits the character. If it does or doesn't, I don't even think that even matters. It doesn't. I never look at it that way. I never think of it. You can't help but notice. Black Panther.
Sure.
Back in the day, when they were creating characters that were, different, so to speak. I thought that was really cool. But I just thought, why shouldn't it be? I mean, come on. I mean, there are so many. We live on this planet. It's like, why? It makes sense. Superheroes. What have you. It doesn't matter really what race they are. I mean, the way I feel.
You mentioned Ron Wilson's going to be at the con.
Yeah.
Brings us up to the cons next weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you guys looking forward to the most about the show?
Comics.
Yeah.
That's all you're giving me.
No, seriously, I
gotta ride in the car down. All you're gonna comics.
That's again, and we've said this before that there's people out there doing the cosplay and walking around, and this is 2:30, 3 o'clock, so the thing's been open since 10, right? So they're 5 or 6 hours into it. They ain't got a darn thing in their hands.
Right.
They haven't bought nothing. They're walking around like Ghostbusters or Hellboy or Batman and stuff, and they haven't bought anything. And it's what, $35, almost $40 to get in, and they got all dressed up and walked around the con and took pictures with everybody. That's absolutely wonderful because that fever that they have keeps the spirit of comic books alive.
Sure.
But I'm going to actually look through the boxes and bring home some new stuff to put on the wall or put for my collection.
Sure.
That's why I go to comic book conventions.
There's a lot of photo ops, though. I see they seem to be very excited. The people like, let me take your picture. Let me take. I see a lot of that going on. The way I look at it is, though, they sort of run a little defense for me because I'm like going through boxes. Like there's a bunch of Hawkmans behind me. I can get through this box. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
I mean, I don't want to sound like in any way insulting. I mean this in the nicest way, but there's something kind of cute about it. It's like you can go in and be a celebrity for an afternoon because people are stopping you all the time and how'd you do that? It's like a chance to kind of show off in the most positive way in the world.
Sure, and
most of those costumes are homemade.
Some of them are awesome too.
Oh yeah,
I would
absolutely.
I would think for the people who promote it, that would be beautiful because you'd pay people to dress up.
Sure.
In those costumes, and now you just have people voluntarily coming in, paying to get in.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think in your early
part of the reason to go, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I may be wrong, but I think in the early days when we first started going to show, I've been talking back in the '90s and things like that. I would imagine there were people dressing that were probably hired by the con to do, because I could remember. You could tell the costumes were nice. They weren't like over the top, but you could tell that they weren't totally homemade. I was like, I'm sure that the promoters probably brought these people in just to do that.
I was reading an article probably six or 8 months ago, but there was this article about cosplayers and that how some of the ladies that, and maybe men too, but some of the ladies that have like the Laura Croft and like not Lady Death, but Witchblade, and a couple of they're professional cosplayers, and they make like $150,000 a year being hired by the cons to just go do that.
Yeah. Sure.
Like
I said, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I am not going to go out and put my Spider-Man outfit on. That would not be good. No one wants to see that. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, the best entrepreneurial success came at the Pittsburgh show. It was the Steel City Toy Con, and some of you guys were there. But they had the 3 tables or chairs you sit in for like a massage, and they had a girl in the Leia slave gear. They had I think it was Jean Grey. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember who the other one was, but very, very attractive young girls wearing these scantily clad outfits, and you got a neck massage, because they were massage therapists or whatever, and you got like a 5-minute neck massage from them for $20, and for $25, you got a picture while they were doing it. And those 3 things had their target demographic just sitting there.
The lines were massive.
There's no way they didn't make thousands and thousands of dollars. So like, hey, good for you.
And you know what? And once again, I'm fine with that because I go to the Comicon. Since you're asking a question, I got focus.
Yeah,
I got real focus. There is a particular a vendor who's a very good friend of mine, Ted Van Loo, Super World Comics. I go hang out at his booth for a while just because we've had a long time communique and know each other, and plus he's really cool to begin with. But I have a focus. I already have my box sectioned out and marked off for different artists and creators that I'm going to stand in line and get autographs, because that's what the convention has become for me. Now, I do a little shopping because there's the oddities that you just don't see, things that I just don't see, that are in the back of my mind. I'll be looking for that, which for me is a lot of fun.
Sure.
And I do some trading with Ted too, which is a nice thing too. We do a little swapping out. But my focus is I'm very excited about seeing Ed McGuinness. I'm very excited about seeing Ron Wilson again. You know, I'm trying to go down. There's a Kari Andrews. My box, it's killing me. It's filled with, particular books that I want to get signed, and maybe have a chat and have a nice conversation. Those have been highlights for me. Talking with people, talking with Mike Mignola about Rich Corbin, who is my all-time favorite. Up there with Kirby. Talking about that, how he loved that experience working with him and how cool that was, or their perspective on something. Like when you bring something, like Brian Boland it was really cool that everybody was getting the Killing Joke signed, and I got 3 Swamp Thing covers that he had signed. His whole just scratching his head is like, well, that's sort of refreshing, just that whole idea of, having a banner back and having a banner back and forth with him talking about Alan Moore, with somebody that actually knows Alan Moore.
Right.
I find those kind of moments really cool. And plus, I'm in the sea of all these people dressed up, doing crazy things and having fun. And it's really cool. I mean, it's really super entertaining. It's more like Mardi Gras than anything, And I really...
Yeah, for us, you walk in, you get a natural high.
Yeah.
You're just surrounded by
absolutely. Oh, when I'm in line, I'm like a kid. When we're doing the little shuffle to go in, I got my little box, I'm talking to people. Actually, a couple of years ago at the Comicon, they filmed everybody going in, as an advertisement for the Comicon. I'm in line. They have a picture of me. I'm checking out my box and stuff, getting ready to go inside. I couldn't believe it. I just happened to see this. I'm watching this. Oh, cool. They showed them filming everybody getting in, going in, and there I am standing in line. I think you're there too. It flashes pretty quickly, but it's like, there's us standing in line. Yeah, it is. It's giddy craziness.
Do you find? I always did. When you leave the con, it's almost like somebody just charged your batteries of motivation to draw and create.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my head's swimming. Now I'm personally exhausted most of the time.
Yeah.
Excuse me, not personally, but physically.
Yeah.
My head's got a lot of things going on, but I'm like, phew. Yeah. Let's get in the car and try to drive home. Yeah.
Plus, you get a chance to see what's going on outside in the comic world, because you have your shop here, and we see what comes in here, but then you get a chance to see what else is going on in comics.
Yeah.
Because obviously, Baltimore is Diamond's home base. So you definitely get a chance to see.
Yeah, you're exposed to a lot. There's a lot of things being given away, or minor charges. There's a lot of stuff going on where you can, hey, what's this about? That they actually have booths and things, and people there repping for them and doing stuff.
There's 3 or 4 different, dealers. And I try to hit them when I go to that one, and a couple of them carry over into the Morgantown show and the Pittsburgh show. What I usually do is anything that's been here more than 6 months that has a little bit of a value to it, I'll just put them all in the bag and I go down. I'm just looking to trade. I don't want to make money. I don't want to lose money. Take a look at these, and if there's some old stuff on your wall that you want to swap out, maybe. And it's cool because I'm spending no money but re-up in the wall.
Yeah, and most of the dealers, they like to trade.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, of course, they're not like anything else. They're in business to make money.
Sure.
Some people sometimes get a little shocked as to what is being offered sometimes, but they are. I guarantee it. Trading. If you trade for something, you're going to get a lot more for your buck, so to speak.
Sure.
If you're purely selling. Just a little tip. If you're trading to trade with them, they may have a book that they want to move too. All their books they want to move. So I think they're much more willing to give you a better deal if you're trading with them rather per se than saying I want cash for these books.
I think it'd be. I was a comic book owner, obviously. I think it would be. It's difficult to when books come in there to get excited about something that you're going to sell and get something excited about something that you actually like.
Right.
Or you have to, you see a pile of something, you just show me some Dark Horse Presents Hellboys and stuff, and, those are really cool books. They're early Hellboy, but I'm not sure where they're going to sell.
Right.
To who. And that's always got to be tough as you're the retailer now.
Yeah,
Stuff comes in there and you get all nostalgic about it, but then you realize I can't pay because no one's going to.
Right. Oh, and it happened.
No one's going to buy this stuff for 6 months.
Yep,
6 years.
Dan Webb, Brainstorm Comics, I'll say, Gary, I own all these books until somebody buys one.
Right.
Yeah, that happened last year. There was books that I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, this Fantastic Four, I would love to have it, but I haven't sold a Fantastic Four back issue, and I can't remember how long for any real money. Yeah, well, I'm talking for any real amount of money, and I ended up trading like had a lot of those 12-cent X-Men's that you graded for me, and a guy traded them, and I ended up getting like 40 issues of Walking Dead. And the week I got back, they were all gone.
The people were like going. I remember because they just sort of like they vanished. I mean, people.
Well,
were like,
I just started looking at it like it's one thing to say, oh, I think this will sell. It's another thing to say I already know in my head who I'm calling when I get home.
Yeah.
And like my Walking Dead list, I have 11 people, and I go right down that list. Right. And by the end of it, whatever it was I had is sold. That's why I don't have any now.
Well, you know as well as I do. You know, if somebody wants to trade any spawns, you got, you know. I know you think, oh, walls, and just things like that, and that's good for a deal. I mean, that's good for somebody that has a store. You know, when you have people in mind that want certain things, and why would you keep something on the shelf? You know, it's a great book, but somebody else in another demographic or somewhere else might be able to move it, and you're going to get something that you have people that are actively or rabidly collecting. Like, I'll take those. I'll take them.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the heart of the trade for me, it's like if I have a book on the wall that I have for $30 and it's been here for 6 months, and within reason, everybody that would see it has already seen it.
Sure.
And I can go there and say, look, man, you're selling that book for $30, I'm selling this for $30, assuming we're on the same page, swap, and I can put it in here and sell it for, that's a deal. That works for me.
What's the one of the questions that you had for the...
Hey, I want to throw something in real quick since people are saying something about horror. It just came to my mind. I just saw a flash on my phone last night that Jamie Lee Curtis has agreed to do one more Halloween.
I saw that.
I'm pretty excited about that because I dig Jamie Lee Curtis. And I think, I sort of liked H2O, but anyways, for all you horror fans, yes, Jamie Lee Curtis is going to do, I think, the final installment for her, anyways, of Halloween. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's supposed to come out somewhere around October of 18.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw the picture. She was standing on the same porch. And
yes.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. That's for sure.
All right, guys, we got a two-part question here.
Uh-oh.
What is the most surprising change, good or bad, in comics for you over the last few years? And the second part of that question would be, what changes do you think will happen to the industry in the next 5 years?
For one thing that immediately comes to my mind is the, what do you call it, the QVC aspect of selling comics, or getting someone to sign a comic. When it's $100 for, Frank Miller or whoever it is and stuff, Stan Lee, to sign something, that kind of bothers me. I'll go back and say I was lucky enough to get a lot of these people to sign things when it was free.
Right.
But I'm never a big fan of slabbing books at 9.8 and have John Romita Sr. sign it and selling it for $500. Yeah. It's not a $500 book, and it kind of bothers me that they would do that for us. As we were just talking about at the convention, all these people that we have met, it's really cool. That means something to me. But to actually, I don't know if was it Dynamic Comics or whoever it is in the previews all the time.
Dynamic Forces.
Dynamic Forces, yeah. I mean, these are just collectibles that I just think they're worthless. Yeah. And that's about as bold as I'm going to get. And I'm not paying $100 for anybody to sign anything. But I'm a huge Kiss fan. I don't care if Mick Jagger's there. I'm not paying $100 for his autograph. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Well, conversely, actually, I want to say this first. I definitely agree with you because they have been given their money, so to speak. And I don't want to sound harsh, but it's the truth. They're there, like a lot of the guys, are there signing, most sign for free. They've been
I don't mind a couple dollars.
They've been paid for their work. And also, we're out buying all these books. We're spending money on these books. Trust me, they're paid, once again, I have had nothing but positive experiences talking to folks in the comic business. Absolutely. Well, but they are paid for their stuff. To get another $100 for a signature.
The thing is, I 100% agree with you guys on this. But just playing the devil's advocate, the other side of that's going to be, well, if you have Frank Miller sign a trade paperback of Dark Knight Returns and you throw that on eBay and you sell it for $75, where's Frank Miller's cut of that aftermarket piece? So I think that it's like, well, somebody, I should get a little bit of that.
Well, I'm sure he's getting a pretty nice chunk to show up. He's getting paid to be a Baltimore.
And see that
if you're charging a couple dollars, $2 or $3 or $5 for a book, that's fine. They're not going to make a choice whether I want to spend $20 on 3 or 4 books.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have a problem. And if you want to do as Neil Adams does, if you want to, hey, I'll sign anything if you buy a print for $20. I ran into that with Al Fell's sign, as you recall. I don't mind if they have stuff to sell there, exclusive prints, exclusive books,
Right.
tour books and stuff. If you want to buy them, I know Eric Powell has those sketchbooks that he always has at like San Diego.
Yeah.
And he
I
has
think
it
Noel always
places.
has a lot of nice
Right,
things.
and
to offer,
I have
too.
no problem paying money for a product that they have, because I understand it will go on eBay for most people.
Right.
But if you're gonna have the Alan Moore Swamp Thing collection, you got 40, 50 issues and stuff, and you want him to sign every one of them, and you got 20,000 people behind you. Yeah, I get it. He's going to charge you, $2 or $3 a book. And then you're going to make a decision which one of those books you want to sign.
Right.
Well, and you're saying like making a decision too. I agree with that 100%. Rather than me buying a book, I spend $5 to get a bunch, or $20 to get a print. Well, Arthur Sudham, to get all those Marvel Zombies signed, I bought one print. And I gave it to somebody as a Christmas gift, which I enjoy doing anyways. But that was a decision I made. I'm like, that's $20. Well, first of all, I'm buying a gift.
And that's
but he's
fair.
going to sign it. He said, you buy that, I'll sign anything you got. And I had a stack. And he did. He talked to me the whole time, was signing. Hey, had a nice conversation.
Right.
He didn't. He wasn't like it wasn't any kind of a labor for him. He's like, hey, you buy that print, I'll sign anything you got.
Well, and part of it's the I guess the side effects of this billion-dollar industry with the movies and all that stuff, because everybody's trying to profit by that. It's like you have the Batman movies, which are making billions and billions of dollars, no matter what you think of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still making billions of dollars. So Frank Miller, who a lot of people would say is largely responsible for the incarnation we're dealing with,
Sure.
the number I heard was $100,000 for the weekend. So he's not sitting there like Neil Adams will sit there and say, "Well, I'm not signing that for less than $40." Then he puts the $40 in his pocket.
Yeah.
You get to Neil Adams, if you get to Frank Miller, he makes $100,000 for the weekend.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there signing. It's the con trying to recoup theirs. And
sure.
I'm not making excuses for it. It's just that's how it ends up working.
Sure.
Stan's is $240,000 for the weekend. Gets $250,000 for a weekend appearance.
Is he coming here?
Yeah, I have him here next week. Actually, I have him Tuesday and Thursday, so if you're not off one day...
That was beautiful. Is he coming here?
Pop in.
Yeah.
But
that's between the con and that, and that's one of the alluring factors of getting us in the door.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I'm just not paying $100.
I totally agree with you.
I'm just...
You know what?
Hey, Frank, what's up? And then moving on.
Yeah. You know how rabid I am. I'm not paying it either. I'm just not doing it. I've never paid $5 tops.
And I don't
Donation.
I don't begrudge anyone that does. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to set your own parameters for that kind of thing. I can't think of anyone at a con at this stage of my life that I'm shelling out that kind of money to meet.
It's sort of like Robert Downey Jr., He's a big movie star. But if he said, I'm charging $100, I'm like, buddy, keep it. You already got $20 million for making Iron Man.
I'll say this because he never does. I don't even know if he does. He did San Diego the year that he got inducted into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame. If Corbin was at Baltimore and it was $100, but he agreed to sign because I would come in with a case of stuff.
Well,
if he said $100, I'll sign everything here. I'm talking hundreds of books, maybe probably hundreds. I'd do it.
And at the end of the day, if it's your guy, you know what I mean. I mean, if somebody
But I'm
said
talking
tomorrow,
about not just signing a single book. If he said,
Right.
"Yeah, Gary, I'll sign 40, 50 things there," Gary'd probably say, "Yeah."
I would say if somebody said Steve Ditko's going to do a signing, and he's going to be in Brooklyn, and
Yes.
it's $100 for one autograph,
Yeah.
I'd probably shell out $100 to go meet Steve Ditko and sign it because
And the
it's not so
travel
much the signature.
and the travel expense to get from here to New York.
It's not
yes.
so much just the signature. It's
No,
you're
he's
standing there talking to. I mean, he's
Well,
on Mount
plus-
Rushmore.
yes.
Well, yeah, and plus these guys are very, very reclusive. You're
Plus, he's
talking-
96 years old. yeah.
But don't you think there's a difference too? I always compared it with wrestling. It's like, there's guys that are out right now that are great, just amazing, like John Cena. I mean, he's this big, most popular guy in the
Right.
world. I wouldn't pay $1 to meet him, not because I don't like him, but because I'm his age. Like we're the same.
Right.
Now, if it's Hulk Hogan, I got a chance to meet him. It's like, yeah, because it's 5-year-old me, seeing that guy, and there's something about that. I just think, like you said, like Rich Corbin.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's going to show up on the scene from right now till the end of our lives that you're going to hold in that esteem no matter how good they are.
There's nobody that's going to even look like him.
Well,
I've seen there people tried.
even if they did, even
Yeah.
if they were twice as
Yeah.
good
Yes.
somehow, it's
Yeah.
like they can't somehow make the now us love it the way we did when we were kids.
For me, when I first saw his work, that was like a light bulb for me. When the first I saw it, I was like, because I'd been reading comic books, I'd seen comic books. When I first saw his work, it's for each individual. Different artists hit people a different way. When I saw it, I'm like, if this guy does anything, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
It's just plain and simple. That's what kind of effect his work had on me as far as in the comic industry. And I don't get that wacky about too many people, but him,
sure.
if he's doing something, if he did a sneaker ad, I'd buy it.
If I can throw it out real quick, everybody that's listening, message us. Let us know who you would or wouldn't pay for. Is there anybody out there that, if you get a chance to meet him in the world of comics, and like Gary mentioned, I just forgot his name, Iron Man.
Oh, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, movies, whatever. Anybody that you would pay and what your limit is. And also, we're going to the con this weekend. We're doing some buying for the store. So if there's anything you out there you've been looking for, you want us to keep an eye out for while we're out, please let me know, and we'll go from there.
Now, I would spend $100 on a collectible book, like a hardback that's signed.
Right. But you're getting something besides just the signature.
That's what I'm saying. If I went and seen Frank Miller and just took a random, maybe the Death of Elektra, okay, and he signed that and it'd be $100, I'd be like, wow, because that ain't a $100 book.
Right.
Even with his signature on it.
Right.
That's not a $100 book. Now, if he had something that all of his works in a real nice book, and what do they call them, tipped in prints or whatever those things, whatever.
Yeah.
And signed by him. It's a limited edition. Oh, absolutely.
Well,
absolutely. I don't have any problem spending $100 on a book or a signature. It's just to meet somebody.
Well, Mike Mignola does that. Mike Mignola did this. It was really cool when he did the Year of Monsters, the alternate covers,
right,
for BPRD and Hellboy and those. He compiled them in a little, it was actually nicely done. It looked more like a harder shelled comic book. He compiled all those and numbered and signed them. And did a couple, did a bonus illustration or two in there that were different, and he compiled them, and I forget, he signed everything else I had there, but I bought that. It wasn't really all that expensive, but it was like one of, I don't know, it was like a number out of 200 or 500, that's cool. I don't know what I paid. I didn't pay that much for it, but and he also signed, that was really neat as a bonus. That I would do it anytime,
No problem with them having prints and books, and if they're $10, $20, $100, $200 for a book, hardcover book, I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Well, and I think too that when it comes to that stuff, like Frank Miller, $100 a signature. Frank Miller got paid to do that. He does not have a personal investment while he's sitting there. He's not keeping tabs on what.
No.
They're putting it in front of him.
Nope.
And to that extent, if you caught him at the gas station a block away from that con and said, "Hey Frank, would you mind signing this?" I don't think he'd have any qualms, all things being even, of just doing it, because now if it was Neil Adams, he'd be like, "Oh, that's going to be $40. You can catch me at the con," because I think he's making his money by the sale.
When I met Capullo and Snyder were at the WonderCon, they also though were they had some some of the books that everybody were hot on. They had them there and were selling them there before you could actually buy it as you were in line. Yeah. I had my own stuff. I had my own books with me, but you could buy certain issues and things like that. And right before you got it, guy was, they had a handler, so to speak, there was helping them out. Oh yeah, you want to buy that? And, people were buying certain things and walking right there, getting them signed,
I was at Elizabeth, PA about 6 or 7 years ago. It was maybe not quite that long ago. It was right after Ric Flair went in the Hall of Fame, and he was doing a signing. And they had probably 10 tables like this one, just lined all the way up. And each table, they were renting to a dealer. And I don't know what it was, like $200 or $300 for a table. And at the end of the line was where you were for Flair. So they had you lined up. So they're selling $2,500 worth of table space and then making everybody stand in line, and each dealer just had Ric Flair stuff.
Yeah.
So that you're basically in this captivated audience where you're just stuck buying things you get online. And there were people that, I'm sitting there just trying to be a marketing guy myself. I'm sitting there watching, and people that had nothing in their hands were now carrying trash bags full of stuff by the time they got to him.
Yep.
And I said, I remember I was with my friend Brian, and I said, I wonder, because you had to buy a ticket in advance for each signature. It's like, why are you buying all this stuff when you get up there? He goes, look, there's a guy standing there selling additional tickets. Now you're up there. And of course, they were $5 more than they were if you got them before you got there.
When Arthur really burst out when he did the Marvel Zombies, he had all the prints and portfolios right around him, as they were getting signed.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because people were like, I had some things, I had comics in my hand, to get signed, but it floored me. It stopped because he had all these beautiful prints. I'm like going, it really slowed things. I hate to say it, it really did slow things down because people were like, "Oh, I think I want to." I don't know which. They're like, people were having a hard time deciding which one do I want to get signed. And I had other things to get signed. It was a good idea.
If I could just throw out back to the question real quick about in the last 5 years, for me, the rise of these variants where you have to buy 50 or 100 copies.
I was going to say that was mine. Very good, George.
It's very disheartening. And the latest insult, which I don't want to drag through again, but was the idea that Marvel trying to pitch, hey, this is for the old school fans. These are for the fans that brought us to the dance, and then every single cover without exception that looks like what we bought when we were younger. You have to buy 10, 25, 50, or 100 copies of the regular book.
And if I may piggyback on that, I was on the internet today and I was looking, and I throw Monsters Unleashed up there just to look. There are already people selling. And they weren't a crazy price yet, but there were already people selling the Fantastic Four homage cover, and then just the Fin Fang Foom face one. People are already pre-selling those. They're not coming out till October. There are already people, I guess dealers, that have ordered X amount of copies and know that they're going to get the 1 in 25s, how many they're going to get, and they're already. Which I looked at it and said, you got to be kidding! It's ready to buy, and it's not coming out for another month and a half.
To me, that's dangerous for two reasons. One,
damage,
and they're not going to do anything about it either. They're going to say, well, you had the right to buy that book. You bought 50 of this for $4 each, so now you have the right to buy this one for $4. We'll refund you the $4. It's like, no, I bought all that. The other thing, too, is just from a personal standpoint, tell me if you guys disagree, if I'm on eBay, I want to see a picture of what I'm actually buying and not a stock photo.
Oh, the pictures are up. Well...
But it's not a picture of the book they got because they don't even have it yet.
No, it had all the... it's funny because I was thinking of you because when it showed it, the cover was beautiful because it didn't have the UPC code on it. It didn't have any of that stuff. All it was Monsters Unleashed and the cover, and it's gorgeous. And I was like, oh, man, that's a cool cover. But I was thinking like, oh, I forgot. It doesn't have all the damaging, add-ons there. I'm like, I should show this to Gary. This is really cool. This is what it looks like without all that stuff on it.
Yeah. Well, on a positive note, on the what's going on is the diversity. All you have to do is pick up the Diamond Previews catalog, and it's 600-some pages.
Yep.
Everything from Image and all these companies, IDW, Boom, all these bigger, I guess, from the two big ones and Dark Horse. And Image, I would say, is up there as the fourth. And the diversity, for as much as I don't read some of that stuff, it's available. And I think that's really cool. Because when you see something, what did you say, Department H? Some of these books are on 30, 40 issues and they're still going. And I think that's like I said, I know sometimes we harp on the bad stuff, but that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That all these books from people, I'm a comic book, I'm hoping that someone has enough faith in our book to put it out and say, I think there might be an audience for it because 30, 40 years ago, it wouldn't have happened at all. So that's a good thing. I don't read a lot of them, but I sit there and I notice what a wealth of creativity is out there.
Sure.
That people have visions and they finally have a chance to see them. They don't have to sell 40, 50,000 anymore to be a book. It might sell 5,000, 10,000. And the companies are happy with that, and that's a really good thing.
If I could just touch base real quick on the eBay thing about having the picture, I actually go with I started doing this ever since you said it, Gary, and that is showing the gloss. Like I'm selling the Death of the Family on eBay, and I try to show the gloss
on
that cover. And it's like sending me a stock photo of it saying, oh, this is just a stock picture of what Death of the Family looks like. I already know what it looks like. I want to see the copy I'm paying for.
Exactly.
So...
Yeah, if it's a trade paperback, I care less.
Yeah.
If it's a book that you're going to charge me $40 for, you better have. And I've done that. And most people have been very compliant about what they'll give you. It's like, can I have a couple extra pictures of this, like the Death Rattle?
Yeah.
Because it's a hard book to find, and anything above like an 8, and it's like how many creases does that on the spine? And of course, as I said, half moons. Where obviously that's for anybody wondering what that is. It's just
I know.
It's just where someone's been reading it, and your fingers make like a dent in it, and it sort of curves, almost like a crescent moon.
Almost like a fingernail, actually.
Right.
So
it's just people that just pick it up and bend it, just boom.
And don't realize it, actually.
Yeah,
hold it up to the light, you can go, holy smokes.
Yeah. And, you have more than a couple half moons on there, I'm starting to lose interest in a hurry.
Right.
And unless you tilt those books, if you look at that book face on,
right,
you can't even see them.
Yeah.
If that's a throwing a tip out there, if you're buying a pricey book or an expensive book, an older book, that you've really worked hard and you've saved and made a determination. This is the book I want. You look at it, you're excited because you're holding one. You're looking at it. Tilt it to the side a little bit there. Open it up. Look at open it very gingerly. Look at the centerfold. See the staples are tight. See if they're rusty. See if they're oxidized. And, there's a lot of little things, that go through. Make sure. Hey, back in the day, people drew on a lot of these books and wrote in a lot of these books.
Cut the stamps out.
Yeah, cut the Marvel value stamp. In fact, that's the thing I've seen the most. I'll have to give some of the people that deal on eBay some cred. I see a lot Marvel value stamp removed. It will be in the heading, not even.
Yeah.
In the fine print, will say does not have value stamp.
Yeah.
On a lot of those hot 70s books, like where characters became, big.
Yeah.
On books that were normally worth a couple of bucks.
We joke about the Tim Lease, editions of all these books.
Yes.
But the thing is, the difference between Tim and myself, and maybe Mr. Wolz, is the money we're spending.
Right.
If I'm going to spend $75 for an old Hanna-Barbera Space Ghost, appearance, well, it better be really nice.
Sure.
Where you could, they might come in here from an old collection in the bottom of a box. They didn't know what they were. And even though they are $80 or $90, $100 books and stuff, it's a $7 book,
right,
just because of condition. Tim's fine with that. He just wants it. He just wants to read it, and that's a beautiful thing.
But
I'm not paying $60, $70
right
for something. It better be primo. That's going in the.
Now my old horror collection though, I'm pretty cool with store stamps and things, especially the old stuff where they took a little grease pencil and wrote in the day, and they usually write the day or put a little something there when they received the book. And there was a famous lady that dealt comic books way back in the day in Pittsburgh, Olga Snyder. It was like a swap store, and I have a lot of old 50s horrors with her and 60s horrors that have. She had an official rubber stamp that was on there. It had the address and everything on it. Some people do not want any of that on there. I'm pretty cool with that.
Well, and to your point about looking at the cover and moving it, if you're ordering online, if you're ordering from eBay, especially if you're spending any more than $5 or $6 on a comic book, I would encourage you to never be shy about messaging the seller and say, could you send me some pictures of the cover? Could I see the inside? Ask the questions.
Every book I sell says, if you have any questions, contact me. Because I don't want you buying something. And then you I wasn't so sure. Wait a second. And I always take a picture of my books in my room downstairs. So in the background, you'll see a stack of CDs, that and you'll see other things in my room. That's how I show to people. I'm not fooling you. This is the book.
Every auction I do,
this is the real book.
There's a sentence in there, and it says, image you see is the exact item being shipped. Please ask questions in capital letters before bidding on item.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, you're up to $40, and now you want to know about the inside back cover? What?
Halt.
Well, it didn't matter to me till I got over $40.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's a problem.
I thought I was going to get it for $20. Now I'm sweating it.
Well, let me throw out the second half of that question then.
Sure.
What changes? Not that you should see, or want to see. What changes to the business, to the industry, will happen over the next 5 years?
Well, I can tell you one that's not going to happen, but we've all alluded to it and talked about it, and Gary touched on it earlier in the show. I thought it was a great idea when we were formulating last week about talking about just having the titles getting shrunk down. It more cohesion and more consistency. It made sense. But to the question, though, I don't see that happening. It may shrink down a little. I don't know. But I don't see that switching back to that.
I think it could happen, and I would like it to happen. I think that there's going to be some imploding on these celebrity-driven Comic-Cons, where you're shelling out. There was one where it was Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and you get a picture with Captain America and Iron Man. They're just guys, but you get a picture with two of them, and it was in Philadelphia. Year before last, it was like $800 or something crazy. Like, really? Like, Stallone was at New York Con 2 years ago, and you get a picture with him with your camera for $600. Like, I just...
Part of the excitement is meeting it for
I don't mean to
nothing.
offend everybody on the planet when I say keep it.
Right.
Just keep it. I'm not interested in
I don't
$600.
think- I don't think people disagree with that.
Yeah, but
I'm sure there's some people, but I see. No, I agree with your point.
Like, well, on one hand, you could say, well, if money's no object, sure, I'll go do that. But on the other hand, I think even if I were a millionaire, there comes a point where I'm like, man, you could feed a lot of people with $600.
That's what I'm saying. These
Yeah.
guys, the guys that play Captain America and Thor, they already got paid $10 million to make the movie. So if you want to spend $600 for getting a picture with them, well, knock yourself out.
Right.
Like I said, I'll get out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to go look at some comics
Well, here's
that I can actually afford.
I call it's called pro bono. You got paid really well. I mean, and you're going out and doing some freelancing and doing some free stuff. I mean, it's part of the reason why you got paid millions are people like us that are coming into these cons, or people that are going to movies and things like that. We are happy to see you. I mean, and you've already received a really nice stipend for your effort. It's sort of cool to maybe give back a little bit. Hey, I'll take a picture with this guy. It's pretty cool. I mean, I think it makes, and part of that, meeting someone, you get a picture with somebody, and that's all it is. A handshake, nice to meet you, and a picture. That's part of the thrill. It's a little less thrilling when you say, I spent $100 for that.
I don't mean to sound cold and callous, but in a perfect world for me, what happens is that some of these cons start losing their asses in a big way for trying to bloat this whole thing.
Yeah.
It crashes down and comes back to what it used to be in a lot of ways, and these Comic-Cons more or less have to come back and do a little butt kissing to the people that brought them to the dance, because at the end of the day, the bubble can only get so big before it pops, and the people that are there because it's the fad leave, and then it comes back to us.
Well, my problem with movies. I mean, you guys joke about it all the time. I don't have to see any of these movies for my comic books to be enjoyable.
Sure.
I see them, and I keep moving more and more in this direction. These are separate entities for me. Mm-hmm. When people talk about it, like I said, we're not changing. I don't care if you change Johnny Storm. I don't care if you change Nick Fury. I don't care what you do to Black Widow. I could care less. These are movies, and if they're good, I'll enjoy them. And
right.
if not, then so be it.
Yep.
So that trend of with the movies, I would love to see, as I was talking about, somebody coming in here to Marvel and just having the vision of taking this back to greatness. Put the best artists, almost like, guys, line up if you want to do Spider-Man.
Yeah.
All the best artists. You guys need to line up and talk to me as an editor. Because there's only going to be one Spider-Man.
It's only going to be one of you.
Yeah. There's going to be one person writing. There could be like a John Byrne who has a vision, who is a writer and an artist.
Sure.
But we're going to take this back. You're going to get a whole lot of attention, but we're taking these things back to the basics. And really, and whatever they want to do with the movies, that's fine by me. I can care less.
And you know what? You get the best of the best, because think about it. There are maybe 5 or 6 great artists that could do that book.
Right.
Only one's going to get to do it. But what you're also talking about too is you're shortening or you're making their world a lot smaller. So some of these hot artists are like going, I'm going to have to lobby for this book. It's not going to be thrown in my
That's
direction.
exactly what I'm saying.
See, I would hope that would happen, but I think the same way you were saying about how much diversity and creativity there is in a 700-page catalog, those guys would start getting... I think that Marvel or DC or whoever would look at that situation like, we better keep them, because once artist A gets Spider-Man, there's 4 superstar artists that didn't.
Right.
Now Image just picked them up, and that's the last thing we need, because the last time a company took 5 superstar artists, it changed the whole deal. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be what frightens them and keeps them from ever really doing that. I mean, bare minimum, Marvel would have to have a deal with DC to do the same thing.
I just walk in the boardroom and stuff like, we're only putting out quality comic books, period. Yeah. I know that's always the intention, so I don't. I'm sure whoever's the editor in chief and stuff now, I'm sure that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
But the fact that when Quesada came and they put out, I don't know if he gets all the credit or who gets credit. He puts out all these trade paperbacks that we see around the store. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I would take all these books, and there again, if you want to do a She-Hulk book, we're going to do about a 4 or 6 issue.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see how it goes. We're going to try out everything. You're just not going to take it back to 12 books. So, what you said, there's going to be space and room for other artists and
Right.
writers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about you stay outside the door till we're ready for you, because that's not going to work out for anybody.
Right.
If you have a good idea,
Yeah.
please throw it at us. But this is the format that we're going to be working in. We're going back to the Fantastic Four. We're going back to 1 Spider-Man, 1 Iron Man, 1 Cap, 1 Avengers, 1 X-Men book.
And an anthology book. Marvel Comics Presents. Or Marvel Team
Yeah, I mean,
Up.
like I said, I listened to everything you guys said, and they're all great ideas. And I think that's exactly the way Marvel and DC should go. There doesn't need to be any 52s or Crisis or any of this or, it just doesn't need to happen.
Let me, if I could, real quick, guys, let me just take care of a little bit of business here. Next Saturday is Batman Day.
Yay.
So, we're going to have some free Batman. Harley Quinn takes over Batman Day is the gimmick. So we got some free Batman comics to give away. There'll be some food here. There's some drawings and stuff. We just got the Batman black and white statues in. There's
Cosplay, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh yeah. We have, I believe Batman will actually be here. So there's that too.
Right.
Yeah, with a Bat Jeep, as I understand it.
The patch.
Yeah, and then on October the 28th is Halloween Comic Fest.
Woo!
Free comic book day with a scary
Woo!
twist. There's 12 titles, and we'll have all 12 of them. You come and get 12 free scary comic books.
There's a BPRD Hellboy,
Which will be pretty awesome.
just to let you know.
Also, we mentioned earlier the Queen City Film Festival, Cumberland, Maryland, right across the bridge, October 5th through 8th. They're going to be having it downtown. It looks like it's going to be at Mezzo's. That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
4 screenings, 4 days of screenings featuring films from around the world. One that we're pretty hyped about, Pig-Headed, A History Lesson for Dirty Minds. It is a documentary about underground cartoonist Skip Williamson. And
Which is really cool.
yeah, October the 8th at 8:30 p.m. It's the venue at Mezzo's, 114 South Center Street. We're in the process of trying to make an arrangement for Mr. Williamson to stop in the comic store. And we'll be doing a signing, an appearance, so you can come in and meet him. I'll give you a quick here. His movie Pig-Headed tells the provocative story of underground cartoonist and subversive satirist Skip Williamson. His unapologetic art exemplified the spirit of the 60s revolutionary movement. Williams helped build and lead the burgeoning underground comic scene as a founder, and went on to publish his comics in Playboy, High Times, Steal This Book, Do It, and more. Pig-Headed faithfully portrays Williamson's life as rebellious artist, irreverent pighead, and loving family man, in that order. You can check it out at pigheadedmovie.com. And again, it's going to be at the Queen City Film Festival. Check that out at queencityfilmfestival.org. I think they have the program in there. There's just a ton of stuff for 4 days. Morning, noon, and night, you can be watching independent films from all over the world, and it should be a really good time. So
Cool.
And of course, Skip stuff is not for kids.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I would hope that you guys would know when Pig-Headed's subtitle was A History Lesson for Dirty Minds.
Yeah. Well, and it shows him there with Crumb,
Yeah.
who's infamous and famous in the underground scene, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, this it looks really cool.
He had a dirty mind as well.
And he'll actually be, as I understand it, he will be at the showing
Cool.
October 8th at 8:30.
Nice.
And with any luck, we might have him right here at the comic store. And with just a little bit more luck, we might even have him on the podcast. So
That'd be really cool.
Yes.
that would be cool. So we had that to touch base on. And I think before we leave, Gary, you wanted to speak just a little bit about
Yeah.
a creator that departed.
Swamp Thing. We lost both of them. Yeah, Len Wein passed away, unfortunately, this week. Of course, co-creator with Bernie Wrightson of Swamp Thing. One of the creators of Wolverine. I was just reading some things that Hugh Jackman was talking about, how he enjoyed, obviously being a part of this whole Marvel universe and movies and being, he's synonymous with Wolverine. I think everybody would agree that you could have searched the world over to find somebody play a character, but you can, hindsight's 20/20, whatever. Nobody, I think, would ever fit that bill as well as Hugh Jackman did
Yeah.
for playing Wolverine. But let's talk about that. and Len, was on board at DC, was on board at Marvel. I mean, he was a giant in the background, I guess you could say, sort of, kind of, because the writers and things create that part of the creativity there often gets skipped over, I think, unless you're talking about someone like Alan Moore, who's synonymous with writing things, just with writing the stories, like you mentioned, John Byrne, who also is a great artist, along with being, a visionary and writing things as well. But Len, I'm looking through a bunch of my collection and seeing his name on a lot of Marvel stuff and DC stuff. But for me, most synonymously, Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson creating Swamp Thing, which is huge in my comic world. It's just a shame because they've just recently, both of them just recently passed away. So I just wanted to, to share about that because what a great everything. Once again, I've ever read about him was he was just a super friendly. Kelly Jones posted some things on his site just how wonderful it was to work with him. And he said he, shot from the hip. He was such a kind guy, but it was like, what do you think? But he was always like, do you like that? Is this good? Moving on from there, someone you would want to create something with, work with. And it's sad because a lot of these guys are very influential in my early growth and becoming interested in comic books. So,
yeah, what's crazy, speaking of that, you always see on, was it CNN or, the year past or whatever, and the celebrities and these are our celebrities. I mean, Rich Buckler.
Yeah.
Wrightson, Wine. I mean, those guys are big.
Yeah.
And there's not many of the giants left from the 70s in the 60s and 70s that we grew up with. Not many of them still around at all.
Yeah.
Herb Trimpe, obviously, a couple years, a year or two ago.
Yeah.
That's big for some of us.
Yeah. For me personally, Paul Ryan was a big deal too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, and Len, the thing about that, too, is still currently, he just did that 6-issue series with Kelly Jones, Swamp Thing, which I thought was phenomenal. And according to Kelly, he showed a picture, he posted a page that he was working on. They were going to do a second installment of that together.
Wow.
And he said he thinks it won't be printed. Who knows? I believe, Kelly's always been a straight shooter, I believe, but you never know, he might be talked into going finishing, in Len's honor, maybe, who knows. But, still actively doing things to me that are extremely relevant.
Right.
They were giants back in the day, but he was still working on things that I find, would have, I want to buy that.
Right.
Well, sort of like, was it Brandon Lee dies during the making of The Crow? And it comes out. It's like the main guy dies during production. That's a problem.
Bela Lugosi.
Or,
Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. And, of course, Paul Walker, Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any disrespect for Len, but I would hope that they put this out. Because I'm sure Kelly, as always, put his heart and soul into this.
Yes.
So. Well, I imagine it would have a lot to do with just how far down the road they were.
Yeah.
If they got,
if
3 pages into issue 1, they might scrap.
But I think if you're working with somebody, the way that I understood that they worked together, Kelly probably has a pretty good idea what his vision was going to be on the story, and they've probably at least hashed that much. I mean, if you're drawing pages,
sure.
If you're guiding a story through art, you've hashed out.
Yeah, it's not like here's issue 1, here's issue 2.
Right.
You've hashed out some kind of idea. I'm certain of that.
They speak of that all the time on The Walking Dead. It's like, it's top secret what's going to happen next episode. They do not know.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they had to film it in advance.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't know when they're going into when they get the script who's going to die, what's going to happen. Yeah. It's super secretive.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Well, I tell you what, before we close out here, do you guys have any tips on? I personally know several people that are going to be going down Friday or Saturday or Sunday to the Comicon. They've never gone before. Any tips or pointers to go into Comic-Con?
Eat yourself a good breakfast, because there's a bunch of vending food in there that is not so great, and you have to stand in a line to get a really stale hot dog and some French fries and a Coke.
It's like concert prices.
Have a nice, healthy breakfast, and have fun.
Yeah.
You just take in all the eye candy, wonderful things that are around. If you're into comic books, it's phenomenal. Just have a great time. But be physically prepared. Take your vitamins, eat a nice breakfast.
Yeah, and take some energy bars.
Yeah, seriously.
I never ever eat energy bars, but I will take crackers, energy bars, just for that purpose.
He'll walk behind me. It's funny. I've seen it happen. He's walking behind me, and I feel a little nudge. He's got like a pack of Lance crackers. Hey, you want one of these? It's fun.
Yeah, because the first year
it's like going on a picnic.
Yeah, I had a headache, and because we had. 8 o'clock in the mornings last time we had anything to eat, and here it is. here it is. Well, we got about 2:30. We're like, let's get something to eat.
Yeah.
You go over there and you get in line. There's 60, 70 people in line for for inside. You're like, there's no other. I mean, you can go outside. It's downtown Baltimore. You could take an hour and go eat.
Yeah.
That's what was always cool about the Pittsburgh Comicon. The mall was right there.
Yeah.
And all you do is walk right across the parking lot, and you have a food court.
Right.
But it's not like that at Baltimore. So
yeah.
take some energy
You'd have to
bars,
walk a little.
take some
You'd have to walk a
crackers.
little further. You can do. I mean, it's cool. I mean, you have your pass. I mean, you can go out and do it. But to get to the Inner Harbor, it's a little bit further away.
Sure.
There's not a whole and what they offer inside basically is like,
At outrageous prices.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Be prepared though. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people there. If get that mindset.
It's a little better since they added Friday 2 years ago, because it was Saturday and Sunday, like 3 or 4 years ago. It was literally you were climbing over top.
This is a funny story.
Terrible.
I buy our tickets before we go. Print them off on the computer. We got there, and we were there before it opened, obviously, and we saw the line starting. We handed our tickets, and then, we had tickets, but they put us in the lines. If you had tickets, you were still put into a line. We walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked around the convention all the way. And the funny thing is, we walked almost back to where we initially started. It's like, why didn't we just walk this way over and be the end of the line? Because we kept walking. I'm like, oh my God, we're almost back to where we started, and we were outside. And then it was hot.
Oh yeah.
And we had to, and finally, it took forever to get inside. What they did now is though, they have it so you go in actually in the convention center and you stand in the line inside. It's much more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's much more comfortable. But it was so funny. It was like we walked all around this damn building, and it's like we're back to where we started.
The line
was crazy.
Circling the building. It was, and that's the year that was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
My tip is, if you're there, not bringing comics with you, you're going there to shop and look. Bring a backpack.
Absolutely.
There's no reason in the world why both your hands should not be free to look for stuff and then carry it on your back.
I'm crazy. I got a mobile cart. I put mine on a mobile cart. It's got wheels. I'm dragging it around. It's like I'm running through an airport with luggage. But it's made my life a lot easier than carrying this big bag of stuff, like picking it up and going. I'm telling you, my arm. But years ago, before I did that, my arms got tired.
I see. I'm too absent-minded even for that. I will stop that thing, look at something, and just walk away without it. I got to have it strapped to my body.
And you know what? And that can happen. I usually have it glued because I've already gotten some book signed, so I'm glued to it.
I'm going to see Wolz there on Saturday with handcuffs on the.
No, I'm not that crazy. But that cart, it's one of those little luggage things with the wheels, and it folds down. It's great. It's like made my life hugely easy.
I tell you another one of mine that I've incorporated over the last couple of years, and that is that unless it's literally something that you're standing there, somebody's there, a chance of a lifetime moment, I don't spend any money for the first hour. I just pretty much make that a rule. I got here, I'm walking the room, I'm not buying anything.
I'm doing signings quite often. I'm not buying stuff until 2 and 3 o'clock.
Really?
I'm usually, I like to go, my thing, mine's different. It's different for everybody, but mine is getting things signed. Mine is, I've loved that. I love having those books signed. And when I get home, I put little labels on the plastic bags, tell you, who signed it, where, and whatnot. But I go do that first, And if somebody's not at their table, I may go back later. But normally the heavy hitters are the ones that I'm really concerned about. I'll go and get in line first and do that first.
Yeah.
And have that.
Yeah, have a plan, because they'll get you a program where these people are going to be. And
they'll tell you exactly where they're at.
Unfortunately, some of them don't show up till 1, 11, whatever and stuff, and you got to,
That's a good point. A lot of these guys are friends, and know each other and have a good, don't get to see each other a lot. A lot of them like to go out to dinner the night before and have some fun, and then Saturday sometimes, some of them are rolling in a little late, and it's
you could spend an hour or two at the convention, which is not my cup of tea, just for one artist. So if you know where he's going to be, get there and be one of the first 5, 6 people.
Walt Simonson's line is always, huge.
Something else with the Artist Alley, which is a lot of times the small press guys and the self-published guys. We spent more than our fair share sitting in Artist Alley, and I try to approach that when I go to the Baltimore show and treat each one of those guys like how I, in a perfect world, would be treated. I might not sell the book, like they might not sell it to me, but I basically go right up and say, give me your pitch, and find out what their thing's about, flip through it, and if I'm going to buy it, I'll buy it, and if I'm not going to buy it, I tell them why, in a very nice way, and I look at it like that's what I'd want to hear. And if you're serious about this, you're going to be able to get past feeling petty like I'm criticizing you and just take it for what it is.
And go there, because I've seen a lot of interesting things. You know what they like? I don't buy everything, but I'm walking by and they sort of catch your eye. And if I see something that's really cool, I'm like, that's very nice. I always make a point going, that looks good. Make it, and most of the reaction is, thanks a lot, man. Just sort of,
sure.
You're not buying anything, but thank you for that encouragement. I give them a little bit of encouragement. If I see something that is appealing to my eye, I'm like, that's really cool. That's really neat, It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, because a lot of times at a major con like that, you feel invisible as a small press guy. So any feedback,
Yes.
And I think sometimes people don't want to offer that because they think, oh, I'm going to get sucked into a sales pitch, or I'm going to have to, you know what I mean? People don't offer that up. If something's
eye appealing to me, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, let me tell you about it, I'll stop and listen to it. It's like, cause I'm like, well, that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
And they may sell me. It doesn't often happen, but sometimes I'm sure it could. Everybody's different, I do have a focus. Gary said it. I go there. I have a plan. I got a plan. I have a strategery before I go. I guess maybe you think that takes some of the fun out of it, but not for me. I like having a plan, know what I'm doing when I go there. Ready to go.
There was I don't remember his name, but he had a trade paperback, and it was called Banned by Alfred, and he was an artist for Mad Magazine. He's like, this right here is basically 15 years of stuff that Matt said we're not allowed to put that in the magazine. He said, it's all my original work, and it's out of line. And I was like, how much is that? He said $10. That's sold.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like to see that.
Yeah, I'll dig that up.
And that's a great point George just brought up, is you'll find a lot of that kind of stuff.
Sure.
That's about the only place you're going to find things like that. And there are like limited edition things and stuff like that. Some of the artists will offer some little sketchbook or something, that you're only going to find there or at a con. You're not going to get anywhere else.
1999 in Monroeville, 98 or 99, Rich Buckler was sitting in Artist Alley because him and his son had come up with a indie book.
Oh, cool.
And, he's sitting right there, and he's like, I said, I told the story before, I won't bore you guys, but Doug and I both, he got a picture of Dr. Doom, and I got the Thing holding Doom's mask. He said, I'll sketch one for you if you buy a copy of our new book. This is my son, and
sold.
Yeah, $3 for your
sold.
book, and you're going to draw me the Thing. And
Right.
Yeah. Right. You can't get the money out of your pocket fast enough.
Yeah. So, and the guy that did Shaman's Tears, I never remember his name.
Mike Grill?
Yeah.
Was that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaman's Tears. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he was pushing that book for Image, and he drew Nightcrawler, which was freaking awesome.
Cool.
It was neat because he drew. It was like there was a moon. It was like a crescent moon, and then there was like a vine coming down, and Nightcrawler was like hanging on the vine, but his body aligned with the crescent moon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and he just kind of whipped it up right there for me and sold me a copy of that book. I said, so I remember saying, Shaman's Tears, so you're like I said, that's really cool that you got on that. He goes, we're just trying to ride the Image wagon right now. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can't wait to buy it.
Yeah, sold.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I've noticed in Image, though, well, in Spawn in particular. He's went through a lot of different artists. I've liked a lot of the artists he's put on the book, but none of them are big names,
Yeah.
Well, the new guy's Jason Alexander, which is pretty funny. His name, Jason Alexander.
Yeah.
You think of Seinfeld, but it's like when I looked at that, I'm like, first time I saw it, like, oh yeah, but I like that though. He's McFarlane's been willing to. I don't need a superstar. I did this book, but the artists he's put on, I've really enjoyed them, and there are people that they're trying to make their mark too. I believe.
Right. Right. All right, guys. Well, it looks like it's going to probably be 2 weeks because next Saturday you guys are going to be at Comicon.
Yeah, we'll be there.
You guys will be at Comic-Con. Tim and I will be right here at Calling All Heroes Comics for Batman Day. So that's from noon to 5. Like I said, free comics. There's going to be some drawings and giveaways and prizes and all that great stuff. Cash and prizes. And
come on down.
So, but yeah, please send us more of your questions. We're going to come back in 2 weeks with a full review. We'll discuss Comic-Con. I'm sure you guys will have some stories to tell.
Absolutely.
If I end up in jail for something.
And we'll be doing that. So until next week, guys, thank you again so much for listening. Be sure to check it out at facebook.com/callingallheroescomics, twitter.com/callallheroes. And upcoming is going to be youtube.com/callallheroes, which will then also be carrying all of our podcasts. So I'm George with Gary.
Hello. Goodbye.
And Wolz.
Arrivederci.
You say yes, I say no. All right, see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tim, girl.